Hey guys, three very important geopolitical events would indicate that confidence in the United States is eroding very quickly. Now, if you watch the video, the documentary we put up, End of the Road, if you haven't watched that, go ahead and do that after you watch this video, because you're going to understand how confidence in the United States is key to us maintaining dollar supremacy. And if we cannot maintain dollar supremacy, then we're in big financial trouble like you wouldn't believe. So we're going to get into this, and I'm going to walk you through these three geopolitical events with the United Kingdom, Taiwan, and Japan, and how they are exhibiting some characteristics of entities that will be losing confidence in this nation, and how that is going to impact the dollar and what you need to do. All right, let's get into it, guys.
Aside from causing an enormous amount of inflation, the Federal Reserve's reckless money printing exercises also run the very real risk of creating a worldwide loss of confidence in the US dollar.
I think a currency crisis is highly likely, but it'll be very difficult to know exactly what will cause it and when. I think it'll be something unforeseen. Could be a natural disaster, it could be a political shock, it could be just a general loss of confidence.
Okay, MCE crew, that was a clip from the End of the Road documentary. You're going to want to watch that. You're going to want to share that. It's 53 minutes. Grab a snack and watch it. It's going to be the best 53 minutes you've spent on YouTube, because it's going to enlighten you about how the dollar is functioning right now and the danger of losing dollar supremacy and what will happen. So watch that documentary. Go ahead. You can, after you watch this video, just hit this. I'll actually put it in a card at the end of the video. So, confidence. We're losing it by the day. Now, it started last year. It didn't start this year. I'll be absolutely fair on this point. We started spending not hundreds of billions, but trillions of dollars in a very short amount of time. We have spent trillions, and we've got plans to spend trillions more. The world is watching as we dump all of this money out onto the street. Okay, again, trillions of dollars. So we've got that. We got a ton of civil unrest in this country. I forget which country it was, but they actually issued like a travel alert for certain American cities. And hey, I can't blame them. Okay, you drive down into Baltimore City, based on that murder rate, man, you're taking your life into your hands depending on where you go. Same thing with Chicago. Same thing with New York City. So we've got that kind of turmoil going on in the country. We're more divided than ever. Now, mind you, all these other countries are watching this. We're divided, gay against straight, black against white, immigrant against people that were born here, old against young. It goes on and on and on. And by the way, government and the media love to sow that division, because when we're divided, we can't effectively challenge the status quo, because we can't do that until we're united and until we understand that although I'm black and this woman over here is white, we have the same socioeconomic interest, okay? Until we can, internalize that message, the elites, so-called, are always going to have an advantage over us. But back to the matter at hand. So we've got all that happening, and then all of a sudden, we have Afghanistan. And that starts a chain reaction. Nature abhors a vacuum, okay? If it finds a vacuum, something's going to come in there to fill that vacuum, or try to fill that vacuum. All right. So what do we have? We've got the Afghanistan debacle that is still ongoing. And we've got the world looking at our president and questioning his ability to lead. So on top of all that other stuff I just mentioned, now we're questioning the leader of the free world and whether or not he has the capability, whether or not he has the mental capacity to lead. There have been so many contradictions in everything he has said about this incident. So what happens? Well, it started out with the UK. For the first time in history, the British Parliament held an American president in contempt for his actions or lack of action during the ongoing withdrawal from Afghanistan. I'm going to link to all of this. The United Kingdom's Parliament on Wednesday held President Joe Biden in contempt for his withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan, calling the move, quote, catastrophic, unquote, and, quote, shameful, unquote. This has never happened before. This is a literal vote of no confidence on the floor of the legislature of our closest ally. All right. Another country that is one of these Western developed countries has said, you know what? This guy totally screwed up. And it's true. So China's watching all of this, and China is a burgeoning superpower. They've got an economy that's going to surpass ours very soon. They've got nuclear weapons, and they've got a military that they're constantly working on building the expeditionary capabilities of their military. They're not there yet. But one of the things that they came out and they did the day after, so all of this kind of broke out on the weekend, and on that Monday, China announced that it was going to do these military exercises right off the coast of Taiwan, which, by the way, is about 80 miles away from mainland China. So Taiwan is closer to China than Cuba is to America. So they're right there. Now, during this whole thing, Joe Biden was asked to clarify the relationship and whether or not America would come to the defense of Taiwan in the event China attacked. And, well, this is what happened. A Biden administration official has clarified that the long-held U.S. policy on Taiwan hasn't actually changed. In an about-face after President Biden suggested the United States would defend the island if it were attacked. In an interview with ABC News, Biden was asked about responses from other countries amid the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was specifically asked to respond to reports China was telling Taiwan that the U.S. handling of the withdrawal proved Washington couldn't be relied on to come to its defense. So right there, China is taking advantage of the situation and saying, hey, look, they've been over there in Afghanistan for 20 years and they can't even get the pullout right. Do you really think that they're going to come all the way over here and defend you, and we are just 80 miles away? Biden said there was a, quote, fundamental difference, unquote, between the situation in Afghanistan and Taiwan, South Korea, and NATO. The president appeared to lump Taiwan in with countries that the U.S. has explicit defense commitments with, and we do not have such a commitment or agreement with Taiwan. Here's the money shot. Quote, they are entities we've made agreements with based on not a civil war they're having on that island or in South Korea, but on an agreement where they have a unity government that, in fact, is trying to keep bad guys from doing bad things, he said. We have kept every commitment. We made a sacred commitment to Article 5 that if, in fact, anyone were to invade or take action against our NATO allies, we will respond. Same with Japan. Same with South Korea. Same with Taiwan. It's not even comparable to talk about that. That's Joe Biden. That's the leader of the free world. His own State Department came right behind him and said, the policy with regard to Chinese claim Taiwan has not changed. Analysts have since said Biden appeared to have misspoken regarding his comments. There is no defense agreement, no automatic defense agreement with Taiwan. So the president made a big mistake. Do you remember a few months ago he was at I think it was a G7 meeting, and he kept getting Libya confused with Iraq? They don't even sound the same. Lastly, here we've got Japan, another close ally. If you had to think of who was right behind Britain in terms of allies, Japan would be right up there. And they're high up on that list, and they're in that Pacific area that is so strategically important. Well, after this, they said they're rethinking their reliance on U.S. security because we just have not inspired any confidence in them whatsoever. You can read the article. Again, I'll link to it. The U.S., the U.K., Germany, and other nations dispatched military planes to Kabul's international airport on Monday in a mad rush to evacuate their nationals following the Taliban's swift takeover of Afghanistan. But Japan never sent its own aircraft, the only group of 7 nation not to do so. The unfolding events following the U.S. military's exit from Afghanistan have forced Japan to grapple with shortcomings in its own security strategy, as lawmakers here draw parallels between Tokyo's years-long reliance on American troops and the Afghans' military inability to hold its own. So Japan is saying, you know what? I know we got this agreement out there that we wouldn't have a, offensive force, but look, we're here in the region with China. They're right over there, and America's way over there. We don't even know how they would react if we needed a defense. So, hence, we have them rethinking that whole thing. So you've got the world order shifting here. And who's to say that pretty soon it won't shift away? And you know these countries are already thinking, is there a way to get away from the dollar? Russia has already started to move away from the dollar as a reserve currency. And Russia is an oil-producing nation. So be on the lookout for what's going on in the news. This is a pretty interesting time. But if we don't get some really solid leadership, we are going to add to the distrust, to the chaotic way in which we're viewed. We do not have control of our own streets here in America. We've got out of control spending. We've got ballooning deficits. We've got this whole thing where, the Afghan conflict has just blown up in our faces due to just gross mismanagement. So, is it any wonder that these countries are not inspired, do not have a great degree of confidence when it comes to what we're doing? Our own White House contradicts the State Department. The State Department contradicts the Department of Defense. It's just incredible. These kind of things can affect the dollar supremacy and whether or not that dollar stays as the reserve currency. If it does not, we got real problems. That's what Palantir saw, and that's one of the reasons why they bought that $50.7 million worth of gold, and I can guarantee you they're going to buy more. All right, guys, talk to you soon.